Philippe Balducchi, CEO of Airbus Canada. Thank you very much for spending some time with me at this very exciting day.
Thank you,
Thanksgiving 2019.
Yeah. Thank you to sacrificing your Thanksgiving.
I'll give up a turkey for you any day. Okay, so the program, the A220 program seems to have built up momentum under Airbus. What would you say is the primary reason for the market reacting so favorably?
Well, I would say first that under the previous name and previous ownership, C-Series and Bombardier had some very good success. Just to be clear as well, I mean they had already a very healthy backlog with some key customers. I mean we are here today with Air Baltic, Swiss, Air Canada, Delta, so some really good names. I think nevertheless the market was a bit sitting on the side, to see what was going to happen in the future, because the program was not, or the company, there was some questions about the financial ability to bring that program forward. Yes, and you very well know that it's one thing to develop a program, which is requiring a lot of capital to do that. But then people tend to forget that it's not the end of the story. Then you need also a lot of effort and a lot of investment to industrialize the product, and that is really draining some financial resources. I think the market was really waiting for that. So Airbus being there gave that comfort and gave
changed the
rules, and people started to get more and more interested and looked a lot more closely to the aircraft. And it's a great aircraft. And that's definitely a great aircraft. And then that combined with I would say the range or the global reach that Airbus has, because we, as you know, we don't have a specific sales force for the A220. It's sold by all the business unit of Airbus. And I think that's what triggered the success we had, especially around the air shows, both in Farnborough and in
Well, I think that the deal that Airbus did with Bombardier will go down in history as the finest commercial aerospace deal ever. I mean, you guys got the deal of forever, not just the century. So the obvious thing that everybody would be worrying about really was the industrialization and the supply chain. Supply chains now are horribly tight. Within Airbus, you know this from the NEO program. Of course, your competitors have the same issue. It's horrible. How is the supply chain holding up with the pressure? I mean, when you guys came in, you said we're going to be looking to squeeze and they're going to have to take haircuts. So a lot of the people that we were talking to were saying, we're okay taking the haircut because there'll be more volume. Well, at the time we told them, before you get to the more volume, you're going to have to do the haircut. It's not going to become, because you're selling 10 more, you're going to, it's the other, how is the supply chain holding up?
So it's really, I would say there's really two aspects of it. The first one is, before we talked about cost reduction, is really the supply chain readiness to be able to face the ramp up. And here I must say that the situation before Airbus jumped in was we talked about a bit the skepticism of the airlines or the operators of what's going to happen. But obviously that skepticism was shared as well at the supplier's basis. So the first thing was also to bring credibility to the supply chain and to make sure that the supply chain had invested where they needed to invest in order to be able to cope with the ramp up. So the ramp up need to be credible. So I think you cannot separate on one hand the commercial success, on the other hand the suppliers. They really it's an all chain and an all ecosystem that needs to believe in the product. So that's why the commercial momentum that we were mentioning before is so important, not only for the top line, but also to ensure that the supply chain also believes in the program and gets there. So we spent, and here again, the leveraging Airbus is and has been since day one very instrumental, because we have at Airbus a procurement operation organization which really looks at supply chain quality, supply chain readiness, and very often we had those guys deployed already on some of the suppliers which are more difficult than others. Because they were there sometime for the 350. We are benefiting, I think the timing is pretty good for us because we are benefiting from the 350 lessons. So we have been using a lot and leveraging a lot our supply chain operations to help and to support the suppliers where we saw that there were some hiccups. And also to bring credibility in our skyline, our production plans. So we adjusted the production plan pretty much very quickly after we came in, back in, I think very quickly, probably around September, October. And now we are holding to that production line, so it becomes more credible also for the suppliers.
Your colleague earlier on was talking about a 40% improvement in productivity. How much have you been able to squeeze cost-wise out of the supply chain? Is that a number you can share?
No, I cannot. What I can tell you is that we always talk about double-digit cost improvement, which is required across the board. And what I can say is that we have done and we have achieved some of it with some key suppliers, and it's work in progress with others. The goal doesn't change. We need to get there. But it's not only squeezing. When we say we squeeze suppliers, of course there is a commercial negotiation that needs to take place, and we are also here equipped with Airbus. We have we used to run those type of programs. We have a pretty good idea of what should cost some type of equipment of those type of infrastructure. So we are equipped for commercial discussions, but there is also a part of, we need to help the suppliers to make it sense for the supplier. No one has an interest to have a supplier in distress on your program, because at the end of the day you will pay it.
Right.
So what we're looking also as ways to simplify the aircraft where it needs to be simplified, without compromising on the performance of the aircraft. But to some, you're familiar with the concept of design to cost, and we need to do that also to see how we can unlock and how we can get some great cost reduction. Right. And so we are in the process of doing that.
So that was like the Safran cabin fixture improvements that came through. So let's talk about the market. Would you agree that the delay in Boeing's merger deal with Embraer, and it's taking so long, would you say that that's helped the A220's campaigns? And if you have any anecdotes, that'd be fun.
No, it's difficult for me to say first. It's been announced, so we all know that it's going to happen at some point. So I think the same way the announcement of the partnership between Airbus and Bombardier on the C series, and then which became a 220, got the airlines interested and more interested in the product. I think pretty sure it's the same with the Embraer products. So I wouldn't say that it's helping that it's been delayed. It's definitely not hurting either. But the competition, the combined forces of Boeing and Embraer will come. I think that's me to say.
Right. Sure.
That we are well prepared. I think we have first we have a head start because we are integrated, and a lot of work goes to the integration. It's not something that's a walk in the park or that's so easy, so obvious. So they will have to go through that period. But at the end of the day, competition is good for everyone, and Airbus is used to have competition with our friend from this side of the Atlantic.
Right. Let's talk about the engine. The GTF has had I don't want to use a negative term, but shall we say some challenges, especially in India, as you are familiar with, obviously, with the 320neo. So what have you done to minimize that impact on the 220? Because it's a sole source engine, and everybody like Martin is obviously very positive about his experience. Did you have to do anything with Pratt to ensure that the 220 fleet ran a more stable network performance than, let's say, the 320neo?
Well, as you said, you heard Martin, which is really praising the performance of the engine and the economics of the engine. So we are very satisfied with that as well. Now, it's true that there are some difficulties here and there. We have the chance that we are benefiting for the experience of the 320neo. And this is good. So the fact that our supply chain organization, our engineers have been going through some of the teething issues on the 320neo is helping us, because we are sharing information. For instance, it's the same organization, the same guys who are dealing with the engine for the 320 as for with the 220. So of course there is a lot of sharing, a lot of information read across. Now at the same time, it's not exactly the same engine, as you know. Our configuration is a bit different. So we are here again leveraging a lot the experience of Airbus.
Okay, my last question for you. Recently, the Air France fleet plan was made public, and there was a bit of a bomb. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. The 220-500 was loud and clear and jumped right off the page.
With a question mark, right?
But still, to see it in writing from one of your new and clearly a key customer, I mean, Air France is going to be extremely influential at Airbus in Toulouse, if not in Mirabel yet. What was the reaction?
Well, the reaction first is very happy to see that a customer is interested in the future evolution of the product. As we mentioned earlier, clearly the A220 has potential, right? Has growth potential and has potential to evolve. But as I said as well earlier, our focus today, we have two products. It's a family of two 100, 300. Those are great products and we need to bring them to the market. We need to ramp up with those. We need to increase the maturity, reduce the cost, make them viable products, right? So we're working very, very, very hard on that. Then the evolution will come. The A220 is completely part of Airbus. It's part of the Airbus single-aisle family. And the product, so it's available for Airbus to look at how do I evolve my single-aisle family. So there will be evolution going in the future between 320, 220s, which will be harmonized. And having a great 220-300 and a great 220-100 would only help the evolution of this single-aisle family. We have great 320s, great 220s. 5-10 years from now, they will evolve for sure, and they will evolve not in isolation. So we don't have, again, the product policy being made here in Mirabel, one being made in Toulouse. We have an integrated product policy, which will evolve. Whether it's going to be a 500 or not, we'll see. I don't know.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.